Good afternoon, sports fans. Welcome to Full Count, SportsMemo's MLB betting coverage show, coming to you live every weekday, Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be covering baseball with some of the best cappers, analysts, columnists, and bettors on the planet. We're going to be giving out free picks on several games for today's card and plenty of time for you to get down on them. I'm your host, world champion handicapper, Las Vegas' biggest daily sports bettor, Joe D'Amico. Joining me and giving out today's winners, we've got an all-star panel today, guys. We've got Mr. Cabang himself, Ronald Cabang, and the body himself, Jesse Schule. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Happy Wednesday. How are you today?
Doing well, baby.
Yeah, glad to be back on here.
Yeah, I miss you, Ronald. Our schedule, Ronald, and my schedule doesn't mesh. So on the rare occasions that we get together, it's like Michael and LaToya being in the same place at the same time. We know how rare that was of an occurrence. Jesse and I am fortunate to do a couple of baseball shows and at least one First Family show a week with Jesse. As a matter of fact, Ronald, I think you're scheduled on the First Family show tomorrow morning.
Yes, sir. I'm a lot more open. More open my schedule is now that I quit my job.
He quit his job, guys. So want you to know he's dedicated himself to a life of debauchery. He's joined us, Jesse. He's joined those two crazy guys who are now professional bettors and handicappers. More power to you, Ronald. Now we know you're as crazy as us. You're part of the family. But this is like the mob. Once you're in, you can't leave. You can never leave forever. We welcome you. Sports fans, Ronald, Jesse, and myself will be breaking down 3 roundtable games. And then at the end of the show, each one of us will give our best bet, independent sometimes from the roundtable games. But without any further ado, let's go into our first roundtable game. Guys, we're looking at the Angels at the Rangers. Currently, Los Angeles, $1.80, 7.5 under 125. Let's go to Mr. Cabang himself, Ronald Cabang. Ronald, if you give us your take on this game, I know we want to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, so we got Ohtani and versus Dunning here. Ohtani is having another MVP-like season. The Angels have the advantage here from both the pitching and the hitting perspective, in my opinion. Now, obviously, they've lost 2 in a row to the Rangers. I do not see that happening today. I think they avoid the sweep here. The Rangers had a huge in each of these first 2 games here, they had the Rangers had one huge inning in both of them that really kind of sealed the deal for them. In game 1, a crazy 6-run first inning against Syndergaard, and then in game 2, they blew up the Angels bullpen for 7 runs in the 8th inning. I think the Angels here avoid the pitching mistakes, and I think we see Ohtani lead the Angels to lead at least after the first 5. I feel that they should get the win straight up. Full game as well, but to avoid the little bit of that juice here, I think having the Angels in the first 5 run line at -120 is very, very strong here.
There you go. Ronald Cabang, who's all over the Sports Memo leaderboards, says he likes the line. He likes the Angels. It's a little high, but if you're going to want to avoid the juice, go to first 5. He feels strongly about that. That's great angles, Ronald. As usual, you break down the games in such a great way. I know why you're one of the most popular guys at Wedger Talking Sports Memo. Let's go to my buddy Jesse Schule, who's always entertaining as well as he is informative. Jesse, what is your take on the Angels Rangers, my friend?
Well, I knew I was going to be on the opposite side as Ronald here. I've said in the past that as much as I have respect for Ohtani as the MVP, as great as he is, I'm not a big fan of pitching and hitting at the same time. I think it's too much wear and tear on the body. I don't think it's going to be sustainable long term. I have said in the past that Ohtani has been inconsistent as a pitcher. Well, he hasn't been lately. He's been pretty darn good lately since he got rocked in Texas earlier this season. And I don't think that's a one-off, actually. I looked at his career numbers at Texas. He's had a few missteps here at Texas. You got Dane Dunning on the other side. He's 1-1 with a 3.97 ERA in 4 home starts. Texas won 3 of those games. He did beat the Angels already this year, and Ohtani was the opposing pitcher in that game, allowing 6 runs on 6 hits, 2 walks, and 3 2/3 innings. The Angels got off to a hot start, first place in the division. They're now a game back of the Astros, and I think it's I think they're in the rearview mirror for good now. I'm going to go with Texas as an underdog.
Jesse the Body saying Texas as a dog. And our first contradiction of the show. Cappers on different sides of the same game. I love it. Great breakdown, Jesse, as usual. Always entertaining as well as informative. Another great leaderboard fixture over at SportsMemo, guys. Jesse the Body. Sports fans, our second of 3 roundtable games. We're going to be looking at an interesting matchup. Two teams that could very well be seeing each other this postseason. You got the Mets with a big payroll and a very good pitching staff. You got the Cards, who stood pat this offseason. They were just about the only team in the NL Central who didn't revamp a good portion of their roster or at least bring in a couple of big names that had to mesh. And they got off to a good start, at least a solid start in the season, because they didn't need, nobody needed to gel. But this is a team we could always count on to be consistent. The Cardinals I'm talking about. But it's hard to go against the Mets team who's really sitting atop the NL East. Let's go to Ronald Cabang, his take on the Cardinals-Mets. Ronald.
Yeah, on this game, I want to focus more so on the total here. Jordan Hicks, he's a solid pitcher with a nice whip here. The Mets bats have struggled the last couple of games, though. They're really lacking power, so they might have a tough time putting up runs against Hicks. From a trend perspective, the Cardinals are 8-2 to the under as road dogs against starting right-handed pitchers. On the Mets side, you have Scherzer on the mound, and you always, when he's on the mound, you always want to look towards the under. When he's starting, he has a sub-3 ERA and a whip under 1 as well. I can see both pitchers here getting off to strong starts. So for me, I do like the under more so the first 5 than the full game, just because I want to avoid the bullpens. I think both pens have been really inconsistent, especially lately. So for me, I would only look towards the first 5 under with these two teams.
Ronald Cabang says the first 5 under. I'm writing these down as we go, guys. First 5 under the total. Ronald says he likes it. Good breakdown as usual, Ronald. You're a big fan of sports as well as being a capper and a good analyst. And this is one of the better matchups, though, Ronald, on the board today. This is an interesting matchup. Two teams, I think you would agree, that could very well see each other in the postseason. What's your take on them possibly seeing each other in the postseason?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a possibility. Like I mentioned, with the pitching staffs here, they have a really good matchup. I think in this game specifically, me as a capper, really looking to just one game at a time, every single matchup. Looking to see what happened in the previous game with the bullpen and things like that. To me, it's really tough to see. Obviously, I would like to see these two teams because they're really great to follow, and they have great rosters. And the starting 5 pitching is really strong here. But from a betting perspective, I always like to see one game at a time. And this one here, like I mentioned, I think it's just a great matchup for the pitching here. I think that's where we're going to see the advantage, and that's why I lean towards the under.
Great stuff from a perennial leaderboard fixture, Ronald Cabang. Let's go to my other buddy, Jesse Schule, on his take on this. And by the way, guys, Jesse is always on multiple sports leaderboards. And I know that Jesse has got, I know it's a baseball show, but he's been doing good in the NBA. I know he's been on the leaderboards over there too. And Ron, we'll get to your NBA in a minute. You've been killing it. And, Ronald, I don't know if you know this, but this time of year, Jesse also dabbles in a couple of other sports. Isn't that right, Jesse?
Soccer is a big sport for me.
Interesting. I had to run some errands just before the show. And by the way, Jesse, you'd love it out here. You can take your shirt off. It's about 96 degrees right now. No humidity, no breeze. I was over at the butcher down here and got some. Speaking of steaks, we could get to our bet down the road, Jesse, later on the show. We'll bring up the Yankees later. But I had a couple of people who were buying. They were at the butcher down the block, and they were very excited about a soccer game going off today. And, the popularity of not just the sport around the world. We always know it was one of the biggest spectator sports in the world, but of betting soccer. And I know that you're dabbling. This is the time of year where I don't want to say dabble, where you jump head in soccer. Is that correct?
Well, it usually would be, and I was really looking forward to the World Cup this summer, but because the World Cup is in Qatar, they're going to move it to the winter, which is terrible for us sports bettors because then it conflicts with college football, NFL. It's so much nicer to have it in the summer when there's not a lot of other sports going on. So that's a bit of a disappointment for me, but I will focus on some of the other tournaments as well as the MLS this summer.
Great stuff, Jesse. Thank you. Jesse, we were interested to see your take on the Cardinals Mets, if you would, please.
Well, by the end of the show, Ronald's going to want to smack me, but looks like I'm on the other side again. He's absolutely right, though. I mean, you got Mad Max going for the Mets. He's 4-1, 2.66 ERA. Anytime Mad Max is going, you expect him to have a pretty decent outing. He tossed 7 scoreless innings against St. Louis earlier this year with 10 strikeouts. So, expectations are high for Mad Max. But you got Jordan Hicks on the other side, not quite as good, 1-3, 4.15 ERA. Did lose to the Mets earlier this year, allowed 2 runs on 2 hits and 2 walks in 2 innings. Not great. And the total is quite low because you see Mad Max starting. So that number is down there, 7. And you look at the weather, the wind's blowing out. You look at these 2 lineups, these 2 offenses. I'm going to say that I'm going to lean towards the over just because that number is so low. With the wind blowing out, a couple fly balls getting carried out of there, could push this number over 7.
Sports fans, 2 roundtable games, 2 contradictions. Jesse says over 7. And Ronald, don't feel bad. I work with Jesse a lot, and I want to smack him quite often. I'm just kidding, guys. We just like to joke. Jesse and I have been very close friends for many years, so we could joke like that. Matter of fact, later on the show, we're going to be talking about our little bet, the Blue Jays Yankees. But 2 games so far, 2 great cappers, 2 great breakdowns, but 2 separate points of view, 2 opposite sides. Guys, and that's what we want to give you here on the Full Count Show, my friends. We want to make sure we don't just give you cookie cutouts of the same capper or different cappers, saying the same thing. We don't regurgitate the same information. We want different points of views. We want somebody that you look to and you go, well, I agree with him. You follow him because there's no better collection of cappers anywhere on the planet than at Sports Memo. Our 3rd roundtable game, guys. Let's see if we can go 3 for 3 on opposite sides on the roundtable segment, guys. We got the White Sox at the Royals, Chicago, $1.55, 8/20. Sports fans, a lot of people thought in the preseason the White Sox would run away with this division. We're only 1/5 of the regular season in the rear view. Right now, Minnesota's looking pretty strong, but Chicago's right on their tail. Sports fans, Ronald Cabang is going to break down the White Sox Royals. Ronald, if you could.
Yeah, for this specific matchup, I'm leaning towards the under first 5 here. I think the total right now is at 4. We got 2 solid pitchers here, starting with Giolito and Greinke, and both teams are really struggling with the bats lately. Neither team really has been giving their pitching staff any run support, especially the last 4 games. I think the last 4 games alone, they're averaging a combined 6 runs. And both bullpens have been pretty inconsistent. So that's the reason why I want to focus more so on the first 5 innings here. So, I think, avoiding bullpens that are inconsistent and have been having a few blowups here and there, I think is really, especially this season, I think we're seeing a lot of bullpens really just give up strong innings here. Like I mentioned in the previous game, or one of the first games that we talked about earlier, one of the bullpens gave up 7 runs in a single inning, and we want to avoid that. So for me, I do like the under, focusing on Giolito and Greinke here to stay under the total of 4.
Okay, so Ronald, who all 3 of his roundtable angles has leaned towards first 5 inning releases, guys. So he says under and the first 5 in this because of the pitching matchup. Let's go to Jesse Schule. Jesse, can we make it 3 for 3? You and Ronald contradict each other on all 3 roundtable games. I'm going to make it 6-5 pick 'em that you guys do. Take it away, Jesse.
I hate to disappoint you, but I tend to agree with Ronald here.
There you go.
It does look like it could be a pitcher's duel. I got to say, I've always loved Zach Greinke over the last decade. When Greinke starts, I automatically looked for a reason to bet on his team when he started over the last decade. But he's getting up there in age. He's not quite as old as me, however, but he's not the same dominant pitcher he used to be. His record 0-2, 3.52 ERA doesn't look too bad. That's a pretty solid ERA, but perhaps not as good as it looks. You look at the Royals have won his last 2 starts, but he allowed 18 hits in 10 1/3 innings in those games. He's not really fooling anybody anymore. He's been very fortunate and perhaps a little savvy and crafty to get himself out of trouble, but he's just not fooling the hitters as much as he used to. And you got Giolito going for the Sox, 2-1, 2.70 ERA, 37 Ks in just 26 innings pitched. Giolito is a dominant pitcher. Chicago's just a much better team. You look at some of the trends. White Sox won 7 straight road games, 10 of 14 overall. White Sox 14-5, their last 19 at Kansas City. Royals lost 7 straight as a home underdog. I don't see any reason not to bet on Chicago here.
Jesse the Body Schule says, no reason not to bet on the Shy Sox. Interesting stuff, Jesse. Always a good breakdown by you. It's great stuff. Sports fans, don't go anywhere because we have our most exciting part of the show where it is our individual best bet segments. I'm going to be chiming in. I have a best bet for you guys later. But let's go in the same order we've been in. We're going to go to Ronald Cabang, who is a fixture all over the Sports Memo leaderboard. And I know, Ronald, I know this is a baseball show. I know that you've done the last year and this year you've done quite well in NBA. I know that right now I noticed because I look, when I know some guests are going to be, I'm going to be sharing a panel with some of the guests. I want to make sure I'm abreast of what they've been doing. You're also dabbling quite a bit in WNBA, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, definitely doing killing it in WNBA. Actually, I think I think I'm 7-1 in my last 8 WNBA plays. So started off the season strong and then kind of flattened out in the middle. Between my plays, and then most recently just a nice 7-1 run here in the WNBA.
Way to go! So sports fans, it isn't just the NBA; it's the WNBA. You need to be following Ronald. Ronald's going to tell you a little bit about what he's got going on, what he's excited about over at Sports Memo, and he's going to give you his best bet, Ronald, if you will.
Yeah. So over at Sports Memo, they actually just set up a new special for me today. The NBA and WNBA All Access Pass through the WNBA playoffs, or the WNBA finals. So all NBA through the NBA finals and all WNBA through the WNBA finals, I believe is what it is. It amounts to $1.28 per day. So that sounds like to me, that sounds like a good deal. So that's what's going on over at Sports Memo. As far as premium plays, I do have 2 WNBA plays, 1 NBA, and 2 early MLB plays that are kicking off here around noon Pacific Standard Time. And as far as the top late, did you say to go straight into the top late? Yeah,
sure, go right into it.
Yeah, the Angels first 5 run line -120. I know Jesse likes the Rangers in the spot, but maybe after the first 5, you can go ahead and have it. I just want to focus in on the starting pitchers here in the first 5. I feel like we're in a good position for Ohtani to get some run support, as well as him to really just take advantage of a Rangers team that I feel like may be overperforming at this current moment. So to me, I like the Angels first 5 run line.
Sports fans, Ronald Cabang. First 5 run line, Angels, Ronald, $1.28 a day to get Ronald in WNBA and NBA. He told you how good he's been doing over the last 2 years over at SportsMemo. He's documented he is an NBA leader. I think first and second place the last 2 years, give or take, and killing it in WNBA. By the way, Ronald, $1.28, that's what the lap dances cost over the strip club on Boulder Highway. It's about 40 cents a tooth. The girls don't have any teeth. So, but they got a good buffet in there, I'm told. Anyway, let's go to my good buddy, Jesse Schule. He's got a best bet, and he's also going to tell you what he's got cooking up in Sports Memo tonight and over the next few days he's excited about. Jesse, if you will, please.
Well, unfortunately, I'm coming off of a bit of a stinker yesterday. I had 3 plays. They were all small 2-star plays and went 0 for 3. But I still got some pretty impressive streaks with my 5-star plays going. 100% perfect in the NBA playoffs with 5-star NBA, 90% over the last 30 days with 5 stars all sports, and 83% year to date with 10-star plays. So the top plays are firing on all cylinders, and that's the important thing. But let's look at the best bet in MLB today. I got my eyes on the Padres. The Padres are 23-13. They're in Philly. Phillies 17-19, losing record for the Phillies, yet they're the favorite today. And that might seem a little counterintuitive, but I'll tell you why. Blake Snell is going to make his season debut for the Friars. He pitched 5 innings in his last rehab start at AAA El Paso, and he threw 59 pitches in that start. He's probably going to be on a pitch count here. I wouldn't have high expectations for him in his first start. And you got Zach Wheeler going for the Phillies. 1-3, 4.26 ERA. I think that Wheeler's been better than those numbers indicate, though. His ERA at home is 1.93, 4 home starts. The Padres off to a good start, but I will say they are 8-22 in their last 30 as a road dog. And the Phillies' offense is surprisingly a lot better than you'd expect it to be, given their losing record. They're tied for 6th overall in runs scored, 2nd overall in team batting average, hitting .253. With Wheeler going for the Phillies and Blake Snell looking at possibly a short start here, I'm going to take the Phillies minus 150.
Sports fans, Jesse Schule taking the Phillies minus 150. Guys, go over to Sports Memo right after the show. Use some of those great discounts Sport Memo has to offer because their customer appreciation is unrivaled. Nowhere else in this business can you get the discounts and things like that you can get at Sports Memo. Follow Jesse Schule. Now, Jesse and I, we'll bring it up again. Jesse and I made a bet before the season started. I am a Yankee fan. He is a Blue Jays fan. Blue Jays were touted to finish ahead of the Yankees in the AL East. We made a little bet. Jesse and I both like to eat. We're both big eaters. So we bet whoever is ahead of the other team in the AL East, the other guy's got to buy him dinner. Jesse, just want you to know, I've made reservations at quite a few places. So I want you to wear covered for anything, I can throw you a bone now and say, just because the Yankees are looking so strong and the Blue Jays, well, let's just face it, the Orioles and Red Sox are in a division, you guys would be really in trouble. But I'm going to leave it at that. If you want to call it quits now and take me to Denny's and just tell them it's my birthday, that's fine. I'll throw you a mulligan. I'm just kidding. Jesse, I love you with all of my heart. Guys, go follow Jesse over at Sports Memo. He's on multiple sports leaderboards. He's kicking butt and taking names. Now, guys, if you will, I've got a nice free play tonight. But first, let me tell you what I've got going on. Beep, beep, beep. You know what that is? No, that's not a disco dance from the 70s. That is my 5% play alert, sports fans. The best big game hunter on the planet will hunt, stalk, and kill your book today. Not only do I have a game of the year situation, but I also have a 5% release for you. My 5 and 10% releases, 13-5 the last 18 in basketball, en route to an overall 39-18 run. That is off the charts. Today, I'm proud and excited to announce that I have my 5% NBA Western Conference Finals Game of the Year. Get on this Game of the Year 5% winner. Join me as we all get paid. In the process, we're going to hunt, stalk, and kill the books. 5% play. Let's go into my free play tonight. Sports fans, for my free play today, let's head on over to Camden Yards, where 2 American League East teams face off as the best team in baseball faces one of the worst in Game 3 of this series. New York has taken the first 2 meetings of this series and 5 straight overall in this rivalry. As a matter of fact, they've taken 6 of 8 meetings with Baltimore this season. When you average nearly 5 runs per game, as the Yankees are right now, and your pitching holds up, you're going to pile up victories. However, the Bronx Bombers, those bats are back, guys. They're ranked 3rd in runs scored, 8th in team batting average, 1st in OPS, 2nd in home runs, 9th in stolen bases. That will be enough to earn victories in today's Major League Baseball. But when you also possess the best pitching staff, number 1 in baseball, you're going to do even more than pile up victories. You're going to start crushing opponents. That's correct. New York's pitching staff, number 1, team ERA of just 2.76. Not only are they beating teams, they're beating teams by more than a run and a half a game. Garrett Cole takes the mound on the road. The right-hander, 3-0 with a 2.95 on the campaign. Outstanding. The team has won 6 of his 7 starts this season, including 5 straight. He has been dominant against the Orioles throughout his career. He sports a 4-1 record with a 1.41 ERA with 64 Ks and just 9 base on balls and 44 2/3 against them, guys. That is outstanding. For the O's, Jordan Lyle gets the nod. The right-hander, 2-3 with a 4.38, gave up 4 earned runs on 6 hits, walking 3, and just 5 2/3 in a loss to Detroit on Friday. Guys, when you lose to Detroit and got to face the Yankees lineup the following day, guys, I'd call in sick that day. That's just what I'd do. Baltimore's pitching has been erratic at best, and they're hitting downright deplorable. They're ranked 29th in the majors. They account for a dismal 3.24 a game. Like many teams, they've had problems with the Yankees. They're 9-26 the last 35 meetings at Orioles Park. They've been horrible in the division, dropping 41 of the last 53 versus the AL East. The Yankees, guys, they're so dominant, so many different angles. But here's a couple for you. They've won 9 of the last 11 on the road, 8 of the last 9 versus division opponents, and 7 straight away from home versus right-handed starters. After last night's close call late, guys, look for New York to really light up the scoreboard here. Take the Yankees on the run line. Jesse, That's not just for you. I really do like this Yankees team. And that's not my heart, guys. That's my head. This team, they had the game in tow last night. I myself, guys, I can't bet them every day because you can, even if they win 115 games, you're going to lose money because they're such high favorites. So I put a little something myself on the run line last night. I didn't even look at the score. Somebody had tweeted me, hey, if you had the Yankees on the run line, they're looking pretty good, which I knew I was jinxed at that point. Late, they gave up a run late. They win, I believe it was 5-4. I lost the run line bet. However, guys, after last night's close call, they're going to look to close this series out pretty tough. I like this. Let's go to each guy. Closing thoughts and comments about anything you want. Ronald Cabang.
Yeah, anything I want, just head over to SportsMemo and check out that NBA WNBA deal. Obviously, those are two of the key sports that I focus primarily on. Baseball is something that I've only been doing for the last few years. NBA and WNBA has been my primary sports, and that's where I'm killing it. I actually didn't even know this, but the last 2 years, SportsMemo, I'm actually the #1 combined NBA capper the last couple years, ever since I started at SportsMemo. So that's something that I just learned today, and I thought that was cool to share.
Look at that. Guys, he's so humble, he didn't even know he was #1. I got to love Ronald Cabang. He's one of a kind. Go follow him. You'll follow him all the way to the bank. Jesse Schule, any last thoughts or comments?
I guess I got off to a pretty good start with baseball, big start with the NBA playoffs, and I promised that I would start hot with hockey with the NHL playoffs, and so far I've delivered. I'm all over the leaderboards there, and looking to continue that tonight with a 3-pack of plays. We got the NBA, the NHL, and one afternoon baseball game.
There you go, sports fans. 2 of the best in the world. Certainly 2 of the best Sports Memo has. Ronald Cabang, Jesse Schule. My friends, be sure to tune in every weekday to this show. Full Count, Sports Memo's MLB betting coverage show, 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. It comes at you live, so you never know what you're going to expect. Special guests each and every day. This is Joe D'Amico on behalf of Sports Memo, Ronald Cabang, and Jesse Schule. Good luck and have a winning day.